What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma. Micah and here host back with another episode down at the Fordson Hotel today to cover some DeadCenter content. It gives me great pleasure to bring you Deonna Marie and Amy Janes, who played a huge part in a movie called Cricket. But before we dive into the movie stuff, just talk a little bit about you guys. Deonna, let's start with you. What's your story? Were you born and raised in Oklahoma?
I was not. Actually, I was born and raised in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Okay.
And I came to Oklahoma City to go to Oklahoma City University for opera performance. And
I go Stars.
Stars, here I am.
I went to SNU.
Did you?
So we're probably enemies.
We're not enemies. We're friends. Are you kidding? We're friends. No. And so... What else was I going to say? I think that was... Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, so why OCU?
OCU because it's one of the best schools, for opera performance and theater. And someone told me that I need to meet Florence Birdwell. They said if she's still alive, you need to go and study with her. You need to find her. I didn't know Florence Birdwell. I didn't know OCU. And I found her.
Yeah.
And I asked her, I said, hey, someone told me I needed to find you. Will you teach me? And she said, I think you'll be my last star. I said, all right.
Yeah.
So the journey started here in Oklahoma City, and I've been here, I want to say 14 years. So I'm technically an Okie now, I think.
You're an Okie.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
okay, whatever.
You've been here longer than I am, I consider that long enough. Wow. What did you think when you first came to Oklahoma?
Ooh, it was different. It's different. Culture shock a little bit. It's a lot. It was a lot slower at the time than it is. It's definitely picked up a lot. Not in just film, but just in every aspect. You know, the thunder wasn't here at the time. You didn't have the train rides, the trolleys. You didn't have scooters. It wasn't there. You know, so we kind of moving up in the world. I think this the new up and coming place to be is Oklahoma City. You see what I mean?
Yeah,
we in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, and so you graduated and decided to stay.
Then I graduated, and then I lost my voice.
No.
Yeah, I had a vocal cyst develop right after I graduated, and I had to get it removed, and it kept me silent for almost 3 years. And so I stayed because I had the vocal surgery, and then I wanted to get another degree in voice with no voice. Okay, so I rebuilt my voice with a wonderful team, and I got my master's degree in opera performance from UCO.
Wow, what a story that is.
Thank you.
I can't imagine how you feel like you're 21, 22 years old, about to graduate, and you lose the asset that you have, the thing that you've worked your entire life to perfect and gone to school for.
Wow, well, it's
away.
funny. Gone. But see, I was 27 when I started.
Oh, okay.
So I was a, what do you call it, a non-traditional student.
Yeah, I was late too, actually.
You know?
Yeah.
So now being 30-something, I'm thinking I'm on my way to the Met. I'm going to Broadway. And then I have no voice. And I didn't have anything else to do but sing at the time.
Yeah.
You know, but it's in my silence that I found myself. So it worked out for me.
So in that 3-year silence, how'd you find your identity when your identity was tied up into performing?
You know, sometimes we're not silent enough in our life. And I was trying to figure out everything. I mean, I was always racing in my mind. I planned everything out. I'm a planner. And I think I just had to halt. Yeah. So I think I was stopped. So I can be, I guess, downloaded and, open up my downloads or remember who I am and what I'm supposed to do with my voice.
Yeah.
So in my silence, I found myself.
That's super powerful. Fortunate and unfortunate, however way you look at it,
sure.
But fortunate to have that 3 years of kind of forced silence to find yourself and, wow. I can't imagine the thoughts you must have had those 3 years, right?
It was just, and you can tell I talk a lot. So it was very difficult, okay? And I couldn't sing in the choirs, and it was hard.
Yeah.
I couldn't even go around music because a lot of times the vocal cords sing, whether you know it or not, whether you're physically singing, if you're around the music, they move.
Okay.
And so I had to not be around music for a while, too, which was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
And now you're a coach.
I am. One of the best.
One of the best.
Definitely.
I love that. I love it. There's the performer and the hint of just competitiveness in you. I love that.
Thank you.
More of that today, please.
Thank you.
how's the coaching thing been? What's that like to transition to coaching? And also, I assume it's a huge asset to you that because of the experience that you've had.
Yes.
Because you know what you've lost and you've built it back.
Exactly.
I mean, you've almost built it twice, I guess, effectively.
Exactly. Well, 3 times, because I am also I just wrote and produced my one-woman show that I just got Emmy nominated for.
Congratulations.
Thank you. The Deonna Marie Experience, from the crack house to the opera house. So I talk about my journey literally from the crack house and how I got to the opera house. And I combined it with song and different genre of music and storytelling. And I'm really,
We're here today, and how time and things work, and brings us all 3 together at this table. Nuts,
exactly.
Right?
That's right.
Amy, you're from back home. We grew up,
Well, no, I'm actually
similar.
from New Jersey.
Well, I'm sorry, your husband's from back home.
Yes,
Apologize.
Yes, I wish,
You know how it is back
I'm not
there.
nearly as glamorous or sophisticated as
There's a reason that we're here, not living back home.
Yes,
so that's all I have to say.
Cheers. I hear that.
But yeah, tell me a little bit about your background.
Sure. So I was born in Tennessee, actually, and then moved all over the States, and never for more than 4 years as a child. And so ultimately ended up in Los Angeles, where I got my master's degree, ended up meeting my husband, Richard James. And I don't know, have you lived in LA yet?
No, I've been a few times, but
it's like
not post-COVID.
It's like one season when you live there, in my opinion. So when I was supposed to be there for 2 years, and all of a sudden I have 20 years in, it was odd. And so we were looking forever to figure out how to get out of LA. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, a trip to Oklahoma, and bam.
Changed the game.
Isn't that nuts?
It's amazing.
One trip here.
Yeah, one trip. It was that was April 2018. Found a school for my kids in May, bought a house in June, moved in July.
That quick?
Yeah, it was awesome.
What's your title and profession now to set context?
So title and profession, first I think still is mother.
Sure.
I have 2 children, raising them both. One's going off to college this year and the other one's 2 years off. And by trade, I'm a documentary filmmaker, and I started out as an editor back when it was tape to tape. So I learned on the old school, you can pop a hole in it, kind of days, which was amazing, and found the most incredible mentor who shepherded me all the way through. So I was an editor for a very long time, and then decided I wanted to go get my master's degree, ended up in LA, and the rest is kind of history.
Yeah. What's the kind of, is there a pivotal moment when you're a child and you think, I want to go into editing and movies and video and like...
Oh yeah, there was
that moment?
That moment was in college. I was my sophomore year. Failed myself out of 3 majors, drank my way out. I was at Penn State, so go. Yeah. Anyway, so and was in an abusive relationship, and it was halfway through that my parents also called and said that they had just lost the house, and I was out of state, and they weren't going to be able to support, and I was like,
yeah.
I had credit cards. Like, I would go to a store with a credit card, have Nordstrom, and be like, I want this, and never knew any different. So until all of a sudden there's nothing there. And so I had a dream one night that I was at my own funeral. I was, at that point, it was early 90s, I had AIDS, I was dying, I was HIV positive. My mom was there, and she looked at me and she was like, what am I going to do without you? And bawling, she's very dramatic, bawling. And I said, I'm going to make a movie, and anytime you're sad or you miss me, you can just throw it into the VCR, and I won't have gone anywhere. And I literally woke up the next morning, and it's like I have these really, 5 or 6 super vivid dreams in my life, super vivid. I woke up the next morning and decided to be a film major. Called my parents. I thought they were going to freak, because who majors in film? Sorry.
Everyone in this building.
I know,
today.
right? I'm sorry. Yes, I know. And I have 2 degrees. I went to 3 schools, so yes, I did. I majored in film, doubled down. And so the rest is history. It's been, and I always go back to that, because it's not always been easy. It's definitely not been easy. 20 years ago, pretty much to the date, in October, my husband and I met each other, and for the first time had a date, and we talked about this thing called Filmmakers Ranch, right? 20 years ago, and married a year later, living in LA, living the dream, if you will. Right. find ourselves in Oklahoma, and yeah,
Wow.
just opened a studio and rebranded her Filmmakers Ranch, and dreams come true. So for yes, film school is important or not.
Yeah.
It's just what's most important is passion, persistence, and perseverance.
That's the one thing that you guys, and you guys have a lot of things in common, but like that's the clear one thing that stands
Yeah.
out, right? It's like you both have totally different stories, but you've both been through so many similar struggles, right? And seen the worst of yourselves.
Sure.
Oh my God.
And then
yeah.
come to like, now you're together. Like, how did you guys meet?
Oh, that's a good question. Go ahead,
remember?
You know.
I love you. I can't.
I feel like I've known her my whole life. It's hard to untangle.
That happened, and I have the moment, and I'm going to show you the picture before I leave.
Yeah.
But we met. I was asked to be on a panel for Finding Cricket's choir because we had to have a choir for the film, and I was asked to come on as the music professional and sit there and critique the choirs that came in and help them pick one. And Amy and I met on that set. And when I tell you, we sat right across from each other. First of all, we weren't together at first. We weren't sitting next to each other on the panel. And then we were suddenly switched probably 5 or 10 minutes before we started. And we looked into each other's eyes. And I said, oh, I've known you forever. I know it. And we just knew. And that we've been together ever since. Yeah.
What is it that like connected you then at that moment of your shared difficulties, traumas, whatever it is that you both have been through, that only you two know? That like, what do you think it was at that moment?
We hadn't even spoken.
Yeah.
We hadn't even really, it's a knowing. We all have this thing called an inner knowing, and some of us choose to exercise it, and it gets stronger and stronger and stronger like a muscle. And so I've been doing a lot of work with that muscle.
Okay.
And so when I know, I just know, without a shadow of a doubt.
And for me, it's more like I feel a lot. Like I have a lot. That's my main source of being in the world. So you know, like I know when I feel something in the like if we're all putting off an energy or a music or a vibration, when those musics play together and it harmonizes, you feel it. As opposed to those that you might be bumping into that, you're trying to put punk and opera together. I'm just kidding because that would be
Why
amazing.
not? Let's do it.
We could do it if you could communicate well, right? You could do anything.
That's
right?
it.
Yeah. So when was that moment? How long ago was that?
Goodness gracious, it was in
It's been
COVID.
2 years now.
Yeah, so it was
Has it been 2 years?
2021 probably.
Yeah.
2021-ish.
Okay. So fairly recently then.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
But this is the
yeah,
thing. But I
Doesn't
feel
feel like it.
no, and it's I know you, like I know you, and you just got to go with that. Sometimes I think time is overrated. Sometimes we've met before,
Right. Yeah.
and you just know it and you move on.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's kind of it's a little scary, right?
It
And
is.
you're like,
It
there's
can be.
something kind of like not off, but because it feels good, but it's like a little strange, right?
Right.
Like there's something about this connection that you guys have that
Definitely.
like feels so comfortable,
It-
and you're
Yeah,
trying to
we've
figure it
still
out
had
why.
our challenges. I mean, we've found each other getting snippy and
But I think that's indicative to any relationship.
Of course.
Of growing and you know what I mean, and
Yeah.
relearning each other again. But we,
Yeah.
just get there.
So you guys, you're trying to find a choir for the movie, but the movie kind of Cricket was started, like I said, 2003, like a long time ago.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Where does the vision come from the movie? You, Richard, are kind of thinking we need to make a movie. I assume you don't think it's going to take until now to finish it, but like
Definitely
talk
not.
a little bit about it, and obviously,
Absolutely.
we can dive into the movie.
Well, the real hero of this whole thing is a writer named Tamison Duffy. This is her child, her baby, her brain. And she put this story together. And we went to the same UCLA graduate school together where we met. And my job when I graduated school was I was the vice president of production for Paramount Shingle. And so I had to read tons of script. My job was to put the movies together and sell them. And so I had read Cricket back then, and I don't know, it was something like, okay, it's the same kind of analogy I just made. Something in those words hit me, and the music and the story, and like it's a story about really transcending grief and being able to work through hard emotions, your only thing you're guaranteed is in life is you're going to die, right? And so it's an opportunity for people to watch and connect and be allowed to grieve. And that, I saw that, I knew that from the beginning, from the very first time I read it. And then we picked it up at Paramount. We tried to sell it. It landed at a bunch of different places. It went to my producing partner, Arnold Rifkin, who was an amazing human being and was the president of William Morris and Bruce Willis's producing partner. Tons of experience in the industry. So he jumped on board, and we were able to find a little angel dropped in with the funds, Wendy Poole, and we started this journey. Yeah.
Wow. I'm sure you're like, it's great to get it finally, when you're shopping it around and things dropping in, dropping out, and it finally starts, right? That's the struggle.
That's the struggle.
Everyone in this building knows that struggle, right?
Yeah.
We finally get that chance, you're like, oh, we're off to the races now.
Yeah.
But then you still got to fund it along the way, too.
Yeah, and it was an amazing opportunity because so many people on that film had the opportunity to do it first. Like, all across the board. Deonna Marie, I don't know if you had ever trained somebody for a film.
No.
Right,
I had never
first,
done.
right? We had a young filmmaker who had a first opportunity being on camera for the first time, say. And everybody, there were so many firsts for people in this film. It added a special energy to the vibration of the film, which is, again, very music-based.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was the plan always to record it here? Like to film
It was
here?
written for Boston.
Okay.
And the plan was not to record it here until we moved here and set up, at that point it was Green Pastures Studio, and started working with the tax incentive programs and understood what we needed to do to be able to really make a high quality film at a budget that for an independent film you would expect, to do well.
What was it first like when you came here and you're trying to tap into the movie scene here, and you're like, I need to go speak to people, what is there? And you've come in from LA where like everywhere you turn is like an actress or an actor or doing something, right? You come here and it's like, steakhouse.
Well,
sure.
it was a little bit backwards though. We came here to retire. We did not come here for film at all.
Yeah.
We came here to do nothing, and that was part of the beauty of this city is like, I just love the energy here and the vibes and not a lot of people. But my husband had written a blog and it went viral. So it was like, why are you leaving Los Angeles? Because my family in particular was adamant that we were making a very bad decision. And so he wrote this blog, it went viral. Mayor Holt read it. He was tweeting at that point with Garcetti and going back and forth about these. And Matt Pinnell found out about us. Okay. And he invited us to be part of this wonderful group of filmmakers, local filmmakers who've been working in the industry for quite some time. And together we started to build, how do we build this industry? And so out of that really came the birth of, Prairie Surf in a way came out of that. We came out of that, Green Pastures, OCCC was able to elevate. Everybody it's like FEIO, all of these amazing. Yeah. And that's really when the big boom started.
Wow. And then I saw you run into Gray at some point, right? Because he's kind of, rest in peace, Gray. He's just did fantastic things and told great stories. I miss his stories.
Very supportive, a wonderful human being. No competition, just was here to serve and do whatever he could to make sure this industry was going to be building. Yeah.
So from that moment then, the fire is relit, I guess, right? You come here to retire, then you get an invite from Pinnell. You're like, oh, now we have to we need to do this now.
Well, and that's, again, the dream. 20 years ago, we started. I would make silly websites in LA, like Filmmakers Ranch, and I had it I would just play. Sure. No idea what it was going to be. Yeah. When we walked out at Green Pastures Elementary School in Northeast Oklahoma City and saw Green Pastures too, we were like, okay, we'll buy a school and make a film studio. Yeah, it's the best decision I ever made. Yeah.
Before we kind of finish talking about the movie, let's talk a little bit about that Green Pastures and the school side of things, because education and leading that and then building, starting this foundation, right, with all those people that you were invited to meet with and start this thing in Oklahoma City, it starts with education, right? Like you have to build it. When you look at movies, it's not just actresses and editors, it's grips and it's everybody else, right? There's so much more that goes into a movie or a TV show or whatever it is than just the people on the screen.
Right.
With the education side of it, it obviously has to start there. You've got to build a workforce. I know Matt and Rachel, they focus a lot on the workforce starting out as well, because we have a lot of good talent here. But yeah, what was that like when you're like, we'll buy a school? Like, what's the thought there? I know you have this kind of cricket in the back of your head. Maybe we'll make a movie.
Maybe one day we'll make a movie. Yeah.
But like, there seems like there's an education element too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And obviously, the Filmmakers Ranch was an idea that you said you'd been penning for a while.
Yeah. So the education piece came out of COVID. Really, we were looking to build workforce. We locked down, and so we had to become creative as to how we might be able to do it. So we created a course called Set Ready. And that was our very first class was in September 2020. We had 3 students. We called it Slate 1, Slate 1, 2, 3, 4. We're at Slate 26 now. We've graduated over 600 people into the film industry.
Amazing.
We take them through Set Ready. Deonna Marie, you were 9?
16.
16, there we go. So, and Deonna Marie and Liz came through. And so we can't do anything without the workforce. And we are a little bit different than FEIO and everything they've done. We really work to help local people with the experience, whatever that experience is, transition into film. Because any job you've ever done in your life, you can transfer into film. So our job is just to help them get ready on set. And then once they figure out where they want to be, we just really do short courses. Yeah. So we all fit. That's after coming out of I don't know, it's just a beautiful ecosystem in Oklahoma City to make film happen.
Yeah. What was the support like from, I guess, legislature and is there grants to be given? Like, what's that like when you come to Oklahoma compared to obviously where you were in LA?
Yeah, so we were able to go. This is Richard. I wish Richard was here to talk about this. He and Rachel Cannon worked their buns off to make the first big jump. We went from $8 million a year to $30 million a year, which was substantial. And they worked really, really hard to make that happen. The thing I can say time and time again, and this is the thing that I believe firmly about Oklahoma, everything is possible. Absolutely everything is possible in this state. And we're all going to see those, cobwebs in the corner, whatever you're going to want, or you don't, and you understand that you are in a place where you can actually build your world, build your people, build your dreams.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Back to the movie then.
Yes.
Deonna Marie, tell me about being a vocal coach and that the role and who you were teaching and coaching in the movie as well.
Okay. Well, I had the privilege and honor to teach Sky Dakota Turner. She was coming from Broadway as Tina Turner, and she had to sing classical music, P.A.A.Z.U. And so I had to help her to transition from the Broadway stage to the opera stage. And normally that would take a couple years. We had a couple weeks.
It's a big change.
We had to do it. We had to buckle down. We had to do what we had to do. And it really, really worked out. It was just a beautiful experience to be able to do that. I studied her voice extensively, probably about 80 hours before I met her, just so I could understand her voice, her mechanism, how it is I was going to get her to transition from one mentality to the other.
Yeah.
I think it's a testament to Sky, too, who could turn it around that fast. I mean, she'll be the first one to tell you that because of her experience with Deonna Marie and because I think she was successful,
yes,
that she now studies classical music. So that's her new vibe and her new...
So,
she's amazing.
For someone like me who has no idea about... I understand music a little bit, but obviously not to the extent that you guys do. And dumb it down for me and people listening how different it is to be on Broadway compared to sing classically. Just for context, to put that, we got a few weeks versus years to change that. Because I know that's monumental, and I don't want people listening to miss out on how significant that is.
I understand. It is like taking someone who just ran a marathon and putting them in the Olympics in a couple of weeks and getting you ready to run this race and win. That's how intense it is. It's different because your mechanism, your body, is used in a completely different way. And any other genre of music, you could almost pull off But with classical music, you have to literally set up your entire instrument, your mind, body, soul, toes, everything. And so, and it's just a completely different mentality. Because most people they open their mouth and they sing.
Right.
They're not thinking about it. Or we open our mouth and we speak. You have to think about it. Your lips, teeth, tongue have to be in a certain position in order to get the correct sound and posture.
Okay.
So she did her thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was listening. I love live music and went to see a band at Kane's Ballroom a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
And I showed a friend of mine like an Instagram clip of the guy singing. And she was like, oh, like I love his voice, but he's not going to last very long because he sings from like throat
His
or whatever,
throat,
right? And
that's
he's
right.
really raspy. And,
Yes.
you know, he's a big guy, but I was like, you know, I understand like singing from your diaphragm a little bit, or singing from your body and breathing and stuff, but. Yeah, I never, and then I just start like nerding out on where you sing from and the different noises, and like it's fascinating.
It's
and you're right,
crazy.
it's a total body experience.
And also, it starts with speaking. We
Okay.
speak more than we sing. So I have to set up her mechanism for her everyday speaking. See, and that's another mentality. You don't think, you just kind of speak. That's what you do. But it's a way to speak in order to preserve your voice, to support your instrument, so you can have the best quality sound.
Yeah. A couple more questions. What do you want people to take away? And you can both answer this one too. What do you want people to take away from this movie?
You want to go first?
I mean,
go ahead.
Okay. What I really want people to take away from this movie is the opportunity to grieve, the opportunity to connect with somebody, the opportunity to be able to support another human being in grief. The one thing you are guaranteed in life is that you're going to die. And this film really looks at that from the eyes of in the movie, 12-year-old girl. And I think after COVID, after we've all had a collective shared experience of isolation, death, horror stories, God, it's gonna make me cry just thinking about it. I think this film allows people to, in a dark, safe space, cry. We screened this at a William Morris at Endeavor in LA, and there were grown agents in suits who were coming up to us afterwards, just relieved. I haven't been able to mourn my mother's death. I haven't been able to mourn. And so, if nothing else, that's my hope for the world. I think the world's ready for more joy, and the only way we're going to find that is transcending grief.
I would like people to take away permission, to give themselves permission, like to back what Amy said, to grieve. A lot of times we hold ourselves, we hold our tears, we hold our emotion, and it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to do that, you know what I mean? Also, the permission to find themselves in music, to release their voice, whatever ways, if it's speaking, if it's singing, if it's writing, if it's sculpting, release your voice. Find what that is, cultivate it, and let it go, because it's someone in the world who needs it. That's why you have it. So hopefully the music will transcend the listeners and give them a freeing of some kind.
Yeah.
Can I share her song with you?
I'd love
for the
to,
podcast.
Yeah, we can play it. I can put it onto the end of this, and we can put it to the end of that. That'd be really cool to close out the episode. Final question. You guys have probably been around this place a long time, and DeadCenter has been going on for over 10 years. Any great DeadCenter memories you'd like to share? What comes to mind when you think of this weekend in Oklahoma?
I'll go this weekend or any weekend. I'm gonna go and let you close it because
because I need to figure it out.
Any DeadCenter or this?
Any
okay, so I'm gonna do a throwback to my very first DeadCenter, where I was a fly on the wall. Nobody had any idea who I was. Nobody knew who I was, and I got to sit in the green room. So I was panels used to be up at ACM. And I was in there, and so everybody was coming in, and I had the opportunity to talk. Nobody knew who I was. I got to be this amazing sponge of what in the world is Oklahoma, and what is Oklahoma film, and that is when that is the moment I fell in love with this place. And now every DeadCenter I come to, I come back to. God, how lucky we are to have this here in Oklahoma. Yeah, it's an amazing festival.
It's my first time,
Brilliant.
You know, I
Love
popped
it.
my cherry this time.
Yeah.
All right. And that's, well, did I say that's okay, right?
Yeah,
it's
you're
true.
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. And, you know, opening night of cricket, just being in the room to feel that energy of all of the people, I feel like they were transcended, and you could just feel the synergy in the room. It was just amazing. And to be a part of that, to be able to just be a small part of a whole, it was everything to me. And there's another moment that I will cherish, and that's being here with you.
Thank you.
You're a
Appreciate
beautiful soul.
Thank you.
And you're doing exactly what you're
Appreciate
supposed
you.
to do. So
you.
thank you for being you. It's always lovely when you meet people that are just genuine. They're in their lane and they're shining their light, and you're doing just that. So
Appreciate
thank
that.
you.
That goes a long way.
Thank you.
Means a lot because, yeah, I mean, that's all I try to do is be genuine. I think that's what we all should do, right?
Sure.
And it's back to, you know, you talk about grieving, and I think as a man, like, we shouldn't, you know, it's always said that we should be a man and keep it in, and like, just thinking about what you guys have said, like, I'm thinking, like, I haven't, you know, like, I've had family deaths for the last 3 years. Like, I lost my 3 grandparents in the last 3 years, you know, and just all the stuff that happens, right? And just like, and because I'm out here away from home,
Sure.
I wasn't around it, you know. I was
Yeah.
home for a funeral or home, you know. It wasn't like, it was different to my family, and so yeah, that really goes a long way, and I really appreciate you saying that. So,
You're welcome.
how do people watch the movie? Where do they find it? Stuff like that.
they get-
Socials, websites, all those good things.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Right now, they're going to have to stay tuned for more theatricals
Okay.
because we're in the background looking at what to do next on that.
Okay.
The best places we have right now, Facebook is got us locked at Cricket's Requiem. For a while, we called it Cricket's Requiem.
Okay.
That's where we are. Eventually, it'll turn back to Cricket.
Yeah.
And then otherwise, I guess Filmmakers Ranch is a good, we kick a lot of information out on that. But it's just the beginning of the road for Cricket, so more to be determined.
Great. I'll put the link to the Facebook and Filmmakers Ranch website in the show notes. And yeah, ladies, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
What we used to be, of what our life was like, that I can no longer see, and what these things were that I used to be. Take my heart with you and fly away from here, back to that green, green grass with a plane flying high above, and the blue sky shining high above the trees. When you looked at me and I knew it was you. 1,000 miles ago at the end of our street, I hear the sounds of yesterday when your laughter followed me. The old trains echoed every night that you would sleep, and I would think of you and you would dream of me. Take my heart with you and fly away from here, back to that green, green grass with a plane flying high above, and the blue sky shining high above the trees. When you looked at me and I knew it was you. On that day long ago when you came to be, blue skies were shining high above the trees, and the green, green grass with the eyes, they looked at me, and I knew it was you. Take my heart with you and fly away from here, back to that green, green grass with the plane flying high above and the blue sky shining high above the trees. When you looked at me, and I knew it was you. When you looked at me,